This is the Real Change Wilmington podcast, episode 29, Caramel Corn Cake from Concept to Cornfest with your very own Dustin Pearce and Emily Spencer. Friday, I definitely was like, I understood that we were not going to come anywhere close to selling this many cakes. I kind of accepted that fact. And I was just like, I'm just going to have a good time and have fun. And one of the coolest things, one of the most fun things about the Cornfest for me was getting to pass balloons out to little kids.
Talk about the balloons.
Yeah. And so obviously we didn't make any money passing out balloons, but I just wanted to add to the magic of the event and pass out yellow balloons with green strings, little pieces of corn, little cute things to kids. And it was so fun. What is going on, everybody? This is your host and guest today of the Real Change Wilmington podcast. Emily just rolled her eyes.
The drama.
So yeah, on this podcast today, a bit different. We don't have any guests per se. You're just going to do a recap of our caramel corn cake booth at the Corn Festival this year, the concept behind it, and how it actually turned out. So Emily and I just grabbed some chai steamers from Kava House, and we're going to just dig into things here. So sound good, Emily?
Sounds great, Dustin.
Right on. So I will say that Real Change Wilmington, the general pitch is that we are a positive, constructive, and lighthearted source of local news, events, and resources. And on our podcast, we aim to squash rumors and just get firsthand information from people so we can have a better sense of community here in Wilmington. And with that, let's get into the Cornfest thing. So Emily and I have very different experiences with the Corn Festival. We'll just start there.
That's for sure. Yeah, when I moved to Wilmington in 2018, I didn't even know the Corn Festival existed. And then last year I saw signs for it everywhere and I was like, all right, I'll go. And I was told that it was,
Last year it was the Porn Festival.
Oh, Dustin, you can't think that.
Some vandals changed the signs.
I remember that. I was going to say, you can't be calling it that.
No, it wasn't me, but some vandals. So Emily was going to the Porn Fest, and it's the Corn Fest.
Yeah, I was going to the Corn Festival, and it was everywhere. It's $4 to get in. My roommate and I went. It was Saturday at noon, so it was their peak time. And they charged us $8 to get in, and our little naive selves were yeah, it's because it's lunchtime. And then I actually met up with my parents and my brother there, and they were nah, dog, you got chipped. And I was like, oh.
Did they charge you twice or just charge you $8?
They just charged me $8 flat. And I was like,
was it for you and your friend or just you?
No, just for me, because I was on one side coming in and she was on the other. So then I swore it off, and I came in to work that Monday, and I said, Dustin, I'm never going to the Corn Festival again. And Dustin said, bet. So
I was like, I got this idea, actually.
Yeah, 3 months later.
Yeah, so my introduction to the Corn Festival was during COVID. It was canceled that year. A friend and I decided to put it on anyways. And she told me of all the cool things that happened at the Corn Festival, like the homemade ice cream, the noodles, the Olympics, and so forth. So we made it on Corn Festival. It was a lot of fun. And then the following year, I actually went to the Corn Festival, and I was like, I could do better.
You're going to get the whole Corn Festival board in here.
I mean, I guess it was just not as intimate and magical as my first experience, but it was still really cool. And it has grown on me. I thought I could do better, but I could add something more to the Corn Festival. I could add something. So yeah, the idea of the caramel corn cake. So I'm from Columbus. There was a restaurant there called Sweet Carrot. It's now a catering only place, but they had this dish called, I don't know what it was called, but basically it was a cornbread pancake, which they called a corn cake. And it wasn't sweet. It was just a regular cornbread, but shaped like a pancake with pork and coleslaw and mac and cheese on top of that. So I was just thinking of what could we easily make to add to the Corn Festival, something sweet. And the idea of corn cake just came to my mind and couldn't find a recipe online. So I told Emily she had to make it.
And then after several trial and errors, he found a cornbread recipe on the internet he liked better. So
yeah. So let's get into, so we'll come back to the mission, I guess. Well, let's get into the recipe a bit. So I'm not a cook at all. Emily is a pretty good cook and baker. So I was like, of course she can handle this task.
But Dustin seems to always forget that I don't handle situations under pressure or stress well at all.
No.
And then he tasks me with things. So I spent a while trying to develop this recipe, and I came up with one that we both really liked. But unfortunately, I'm bad at math. and bad at large quantity baking like that. So every time we tried to make it at a large quantity, it was hot garbage.
Yeah, it was just like too hard or something. We had
Too unsweet, too hard. There was a lot of factors to it.
Yeah. I would make a good housewife, I think. Just nagging and nagging. Emily, it's too hard. It's too sweet.
You can't cook. You mean you're going to...
You can't be satisfied, woman. No.
Which is fine. In the end, the recipe that we ended up using was a lot more simple and less complex than the recipe that I had developed anyway. So it saved us some time.
Yeah. So I think we also, at one point, we're going to make corn cake donuts.
Yeah, we did try the donuts. We got the donut maker. And we, at the top secret Real Change Mountain headquarters, there's a little kitchenette in the back.
Oh, yeah.
And we stood back there like heathens with this little donut maker from Amazon trying to put cornbread mix in there. Didn't work.
Yeah, the extension cord was like across the kitchen. So we had a limbo underneath of it. And it was tied to this like scorching hot donut machine.
Yeah. And the donuts would not stay together. And they were, I mean, they tasted good, but they looked like dog water. So
yeah, they looked pretty bad. Would have been cool though. Maybe someday.
When they streamline the donut making process.
Yeah. Anything else with the recipe?
Talk about how many different toppings you went.
Oh my God.
Oh, you have to tell about where we went to get all the frostings.
Oh, I think we can maybe save that. But so yeah, the iteration of the corn cake. Oh my gosh, so many stupid things. Again, I'm not a baker, so I was just thinking of some wacko things. At one point, we were gonna have like a cheesecake crust on the bottom of it, and then cake on top of that. Like, never been done before, and probably for good reason because it's really stupid. What else? We had like
the candied cornflakes.
And oh God, yeah. We thought like cornflakes are corn, so let's sprinkle those on top of the corn cake. Dumb. Too much. Is it too much?
I had tried homemade caramel. I tried like an upside down type of caramel sauce, like when you make like a pineapple upside down cake.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, Dustin, he came in and he said he figured it out.
Yeah, she tried it so many times and she was like to the point of like having a breakdown. So I was like, I think I'm just going to look a recipe online and just call it a day. So that's what we ended up doing.
But the topping ended up being like a salted caramel frosting, like a pre-made one. Unfortunately, you can only find it at Walmart. And unfortunately, Walmart only stocks 6 at a time. So
over the course of a month, Emily and I had to travel to every Walmart in the area.
Like a 50-mile radius.
Yeah, it got pretty boring and crazy.
Yeah, but all the frostings.
How many did we buy? 250? Oh,
yeah.
So many frostings.
And the caramel sauces, but I think we could have gotten that just about anywhere.
Yeah. And then we got a bunch of caramel corn too.
Yeah.
Which we're hoping to reuse at Halloween this year. Pass out to some kids. So that was crazy.
Yeah, recipe development, not for the weak of heart.
No. So let's circle back to like why we did this in the first place, our mission. So something that I wanted to do was like mix business and philanthropy together. So I wanted to have this really fun caramel corn cake thing to add to the corn festival to make something new for the community to enjoy. But I also wanted to address the homeless issue a bit in Wilmington by letting people who are homeless work to earn some extra money hourly, help us bake, help us distribute at the corn festival. And then I wanted to just reward them also with $1,000 emergency fund, each family, and then the first month's rent from the Find a Place to Stay. So we partnered with the homeless shelter to do that. That was the mission, and we'll get into more of that here in a second. We also wanted to use local farmers. So it was a big thing. We wanted to have local ingredients. So we eventually stumbled into finding John Brandstrader, who makes cornmeal. And who else did we use?
Web Farms for Eggs.
So Pam over at Uptown Printing,
Love Pam.
They have a bunch of chickens.
And Happy Cow Creamery actually donated all of the milk.
Yes.
That we used for the corn cakes.
Yeah. So big shout out to Happy Cows because that saved us a lot of money. And then we also partnered with Papsies. So Papsies did our ice cream, which was pretty cool. It was good working with Tara over there at Papsies. We have some fun ideas for next year too with ice cream, but we won't get into that. Emily's like, excuse me? I told you the ideas. You just forgot them.
What can I say?
Maybe you didn't. Maybe I didn't tell you. I don't know.
I've got the memory of a goldfish.
That's true. So yeah, to recap, our mission was to 1, highlight local farmers, 2, help local families, and 3, just have a lot of fun. So I think we accomplished those things, but let's move on to what's the next topic we're gonna get into.
Quantity, supplies, and revenue.
Yeah. So let's, so I tasked Emily with reaching out to other vendors to see how many things that they sold the previous years.
And
what did you get the numbers from?
The noodle people were,
okay.
So I had reached out to a few people. At this point, I really didn't have a lot of contact with them. I hadn't been put in the vendor's email chain yet. It hadn't started. So this is probably February at this point, February, maybe March. And we talked to Leadership Clinton, who does the apple dumpling booth. I got in touch with the people who do the homemade noodles. And we based our numbers off the homemade noodles, which we probably shouldn't have, because they've been there forever.
Yeah. And
they sell approximately a kajillion noodles.
Okay. So we decided if they can sell a kajillion, we'll sell 3,000. And I was telling my dad, doing the math, oh yeah, the Corn Fest is so big and we're going to crush this number, we'll be out of stock. And he's like, okay. I don't think you're going to do that, but okay.
All right.
good old dad believing in me no matter what. And I was just so ready to come back to him and be like, I told you I could do it. We didn't even come close.
I feel like people need to know that that's just who you are as a person. Dustin's one of those people that's, if he's doing something, he's got to put 110% of himself into it. He's got to make sure everyone else is too.
Oh, yikes.
With love and adoration, of course.
Okay.
You're just a go-getter. You set your goals high.
I just believed in it. I just believed that this could happen. To be fair, other booths, so the CCYC, they had a delicious cobbler, I think, right?
Yeah, different flavors.
They sold about 500 to 600. So we aimed for 3,000 and we sold 500. And we'll get into what that means as far as profit loss here. Emily has her hand over her head right now in a second. But anyways, what else? For supplies?
Costco.
Oh, God. So we did get local cornbread and local ingredients. We got some of the baked goods from Costco. We got the containers from Saban's on Main Street. But so the Costco trip was funny.
I have a Costco membership, and we decided that was probably the best bet to get stuff like bulk flour, bulk sugar. So we make one trip and we get the sugar, the flour, the oil, everything. And then we make a second trip because we decide there needs to be.
Did we? Oh, yeah, we did.
We needed coolers and water.
Yeah.
And that was a nightmare trying to fight Dustin on not buying name brand water.
Oh, yeah. Let's discuss this. So Emily wanted to get the Kirkland brand water, which was $3 or something. And I wanted to get the Ice Mountain water, which was maybe $5, $6. And she was trying to convince me that it was a better deal. And I was like, Emily, this caramel corn cake is not your run of the mill elephant here. This is high class thing. So we need the high class water. And one of the best parts of the Corn Festival was when some lady came up to the booth and said, you guys have Ice Mountain water? And I was like, yeah. She said, I only drink that water. And I wish so much Emily was standing by me when that happened so I could just feel the vindication. But yeah, anyways.
So anyways, Dustin decides we're getting the expensive water because he's bougie.
Yeah.
And
expensive, $1 more.
And I'm sitting there, we're trying to figure out how many cases of water to buy. And I think we ended up with
it's 38 cases.
Yeah, 38 cases. Something almost 40 cases of 40 packs of water. Mm-hmm. Because we thought we could sell every bottle of water.
Yeah.
Tell that to the middle room in the office. But
so we packed it all in my truck, and we packed it everywhere in my truck. It was in the back, it was in the back seat, it was in your lap, I think.
Yeah. We also had 2 big steel coolers. Mm-hmm. And when we rode up, I said, obviously I sat up front. And I was like, I'm going to have to put this cooler up front. So I'm sitting in the back. I've got water on my lap. There's water and cooler in the back. Dustin's whole truck is packed down with water. He gets in and he goes, I hope I don't bust my tires.
Yeah, it was weighing it down hard. And then so middle of the trip, I'm driving pretty slow back to Wilmington. And I don't know if I asked you how much water is in my truck, or I think I asked you to look up what my truck could handle. Yeah. And you looked it up or something, and you try to measure how much water was in my truck, and you're like, you took a minute too. You're doing the math.
I was trying to do.
I was like,
I was trying to do the math.
You started doing the math, and I was like, this is not whatever she says out of her mouth is not going to be anywhere close to.
I'm
right.
not very good at math,
but I'll let you do it.
Yeah. So I mean, I did drop out of my first major in college because I couldn't pass math. So
I can say kindergarten because that's how bad it is.
Might as well be what kindergartners is learning now, but. I'm sitting there on my phone and I'm Googling like how much a 40-pack of water weighs and how many waters we have. And honestly, this should have been simple math, but I'm stupid. So I'm sitting there like big brain hour, like typing on my phone.
There was smoke in my truck and everything.
Yeah. And then I go, wow, Dustin, there's like 100 pounds of water in here. And I thought Dustin was going to slam the brakes and look at me like, really?
I was like, I could lift 100 pounds. I'm like, this is weighing my truck down. Like, it's not even close to 100 pounds. This is hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So
then I did the math again. It came out with just under what the weight limit on your truck was.
Yeah. So we made it to Wilmington. And now we have tons of water sitting in our office.
Ice Mountain brand.
Ice Mountain.
Please sponsor.
Well, at least we're getting stuck with Kirkland brand. I mean, gosh, could you imagine?
Kirkland water. I got Kirkland water in the back of my car right now.
Well, apparently my brother only drinks Kirkland water.
Well, he's a smart man.
I guess he is. Anyways, I think we kind of rounded out the supplies there. So next up, working with the homeless shelter. So that was fun, I guess. That was cool.
Yeah. So in order to be a vendor at the Corn Festival, you actually have to be a nonprofit organization or be partnered with one, which I didn't know. And Real Change Wilmington is not a nonprofit. We're a for-profit company.
That makes no money, but
yeah, just tons of ice mountain water.
Yeah.
And like Dustin said, one of the things that we really wanted to do was try to give homeless people an opportunity to work and try to give them that opportunity to save money to get out of their current situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I made an application and sent it to Denise at the homeless shelter and was like, get them all to sign up.
Yeah. So that was, I guess a lot of restaurants have issues with workforce and stuff. And I've never experienced that before. I never owned a restaurant. So it was definitely, okay, this is kind of a challenge to manage people and stuff. Emily, you seem to like it though, managing all their schedules and stuff and getting them lined up.
That was, I like to make tables and organize stuff like that. I don't have the willpower of a leader. I'm just mean. So
wow. Yeah.
You're the leader here. I would just get stressed out and start yelling. So I just do the paperwork side of management.
Which is great. So yeah, the homeless shelter was amazing. So we worked with Denise, Sydney, and Amber, who did a lot of work to reach out to the residents there and see if they'd be interested in doing something like this. And so again, the pitch was we pay them hourly. It was $12 an hour, I think. And we would give them $1,000 at the end of the event to go to an emergency fund, and we'd pay their first months of rent when they find a place to stay. So that was the pitch to them. We ended up finding 4 families. It was one single male, one male who had kids, a husband and wife who had a kid, and a single female. So 4 families. It was 5 individuals, but 4 families. What do we want to say about that, I guess?
It was a really interesting experience to work with people who are not on the top of their, at the top of the game with their luck.
Sure.
So the family that we had, they were great. They really told us about how they had been saving to get out of the shelter for a few months and how they were just shy to getting a vehicle. And once they got their vehicle, they would be great. They'd be set. And working this corn festival with us is what's put them over the edge. And it was kind of uncomfortable for me a little bit because one of the male, he was like, thank you so much. And I was like, no problem.
Emily did the transporting to and from the corn festival.
And we got stuck in that parade.
Yes.
For an hour.
But yeah, so that family, I think their situation was that their house that they were leasing got sold.
Yeah.
So they had to move out.
They were evicted unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Then they had car trouble.
Okay. I didn't hear that part, but nice. And then one of the males who had a family, he had some bad luck. How did he come here? He got evicted from his place that he was at, came here to be closer to his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Was in the homeless shelter for a month. He was a good dude. He was, I think he maybe told you he didn't really like being there. It was his first time. I mean, in the sense that he didn't think that he would come to a point in life where to be at the homeless shelter.
Right. Yeah. He was talking about how prior to, he'd been a trucker and like he had stable work and a stable place to stay. And then it's one of those like very humbling experiences to learn that, one big thing can shift in your life and turn your whole world upside down. And suddenly you're, in another place trying to get your life back in order. And I mean, he's worked his butt off. So.
Yeah. And so with him at the time of the Corn Festival, he wasn't at the homeless shelter. He had just moved out into some affordable living, I guess. So we were able to help him, work hourly, get some money, get the emergency fund, which he could use. In his case, I think it was going to be either furniture he was going to use it for or a vehicle to help him to get a job. And we also gave him some bus passes as well, transit passes. Because he mentioned one day he was like walking to Walmart. I was like, that kind of sucks.
It's a hike.
Yeah. So we've interviewed the transit in the past. They're great people. So we thought we'd give them some vouchers to at least between the time he gets a car and now he can go to the grocery store without any problems. So that was cool. I enjoyed that. It was definitely, it was a mixed bag of people when we learned a lot. So people are people and I don't know, but it was good. Glad we did it, I suppose.
We got to shout out Brandon for coming and helping us.
Oh, yeah.
My roommate's brother, Brandon, he is a Wilmington native. We didn't schedule anybody for Thursday because we overestimated the amount of work that was going in, or underestimated the amount of work that was going into it. And I was stressing out. And Dustin was trying to get stuff done over at the actual festival. And I called my friend's brother and I was like, look, I know you're not doing anything. Can you come help? And he helped us almost all weekend. Anytime we needed somebody, he was there. So thank you, Brandon. Yeah,
for sure. Definitely a lifesaver. So let's transition into the actual preparation of the food. So we obviously had to make this at a commercial kitchen. And I guess our friends of Sugar Tree Ministries or friends of Lee Sandlin. So we asked him if we could use the kitchen. He agreed. And so that's where we did all the preparation. So I was very proud of our assembly line of making little bags of all the dry ingredients. So we did that one day.
Yeah, no. Maybe it was Wednesday that we didn't have anybody. It was Wednesday or Thursday. Whatever day we didn't have a bunch of people at first, we did the bag.
It doesn't matter. The first thing we did was prep all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then we started baking things. They have 4
ovens.
They have 4 ovens.
But one didn't work.
One didn't work. So again, our goal was to make 250 cakes, which would come out to be 3,000 pieces.
I made 220 cakes. Thank you.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it was a nightmare, I guess. I don't know how else you would describe it.
A nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
Conceptually, when you put all these like bags together and you're looking at them in these little boxes, you're like, this isn't anything.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this. And then you're standing there in your second assembly line. I've got 4 bowls laid out. It's dry ingredients and then eggs, milk, all. And then I've got to mix them all up. I killed Dustin's hand mixer that weekend. Rest in peace, hand mixer.
Yep.
And then I would pass the bowls to one of our workers and she would brave the little tin pans and then put them in there. And then once we had like enough to fill the ovens we had, we would put them all in and then start again.
Yeah. So that was going on one side of Sugar Tree. And then the other side, once the cakes were done and cooled, we put the icing on them and then we cut them and put them into boxes. So that doesn't seem like it would take a long time, but that also took forever to do.
Yeah. It's like in practice, everything took twice as long as we anticipated it to take. But we did have a lot of hands. So it was nice because there was a lot going on at Sugar Tree that week.
Oh, yeah.
Which it was kind of stressful at first, but it ended up like kind of evening out because we didn't make 250 cakes. But
yeah, it was kind of a bummer that there was a lot of people in and out that week, like volunteers coming in to help make food. But I kind of actually enjoyed that. Like we met a guy named
the Knights of St. Columbus.
The Knights of St. Columbus. Carl, he made us this awesome St. Massey chili.
It's Clinton Massey's chili.
What was St. Massey? Sorry. Yeah, Clinton I guess. Clinton Massey chili. So effing good.
And then the Mennonites were in the next day making dinner.
Okay, I didn't have any of that.
Me neither. We were at the Corn Festival.
But all like super kind people, fun to talk to. They were interested in what we were doing. Who's the Airbnb driver? Airbnb.
Or the Instacart driver. DJ.
DJ, such a good guy.
Oh, I love DJ. He cracks me up. He would come when we would, like the Knights of St. Columbus or the Mennonites were using the kitchen side. We couldn't be over there. Yeah. So we would be at the cake cutting side and I'd be sitting there frosting cakes and DJ would come over and talk to us and he would just be giving us a hard time, joking around. DJ's a big jokester if you've never met him.
Yeah.
And I'd tell him, I'd be like, you need to sit down and grab a spatula. And he'd go, sorry, I don't know how.
Yeah. And he actually came to the Corn Fest a few times.
I think he came once.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. So then I think probably Friday that happened, because Friday or maybe Thursday, it was probably the day before Corn Festival when we worked until like.
Oh, that was the Thursday. So the vendor day.
Okay. So yeah. What time did we go home that day?
It was kind of, I think we would have gotten done earlier if we would have had use of the kitchen all day, but we had to give up the kitchen for the Knights of St. Columbus to make supper. And then we left for like an hour and a half to go meet the other vendors at the Corn Fest. Mm-hmm. But I think you left Sugar Tree at 12:30 and I left probably about 1:30, 1:45 because I was cleaning out.
Yeah, it was crazy.
If you've never done the Corn Festival, that whole weekend is exhausting. Don't let anybody lie to you.
Yeah, especially when you make like 5,000 times more than you need. So that was nuts. And then the next day was the Corn Festival, Friday. And I didn't know this, but Friday and Sunday are like dead days at the Corn Fest. There was hardly anybody at the entire festival. We maybe sold, I think, less than 100. And during that day, I texted Emily because Emily was at the Sugar Tree making more cakes. And I was like, just stop making cakes because like there's no way we're going to sell. Like
at this point, there's probably around like 150, 175 cakes done. They're cooling in the
whole cakes. Whole cakes. Times 12 pieces. Yeah.
Yeah. And Dustin texts me and he's like, I need you to take a breather on this. Just frost what we've got. And I was like, okay. And then it kind of picked up that evening. We did pass 100 after.
Did we? Oh, yeah, yeah. Because my family came and then you stepped in to let me walk around with them.
And then I think we kind of got a little bit of a second wind because on Saturday I did make another box of cakes.
You did?
Yeah, we had 2 boxes left and you told me to finish the first 1 box. So I guess I didn't make a whole box. There's like 10 of them in there.
Okay.
But we had all this cake and did not sell 3,000.
No, not even close. So we'll get into that. We already talked about it. We'll get more in a second. I guess we're at the Corn Fest now. So what highlights in the Corn Festival? I think for me, so Friday, I definitely was like, I understood that we were not going to come anywhere close to selling this many cakes. I kind of accepted that fact. And I was just like, I'm just going to have a good time and have fun. And one of the coolest things, one of the like most fun things about the Corn Fest for me was getting to pass like balloons out to little kids.
Talk about the balloons.
Yeah. And so like obviously we didn't like make any money passing out balloons, but I just wanted to add to like the magic of the event and pass out like yellow balloons with like green strings, little pieces of corn, you know, like little cute things to kids. And it was like so fun getting to hand those to kids and children and see like their faces light up and like them come over to want one. We had a bubble machine also that like, again, didn't make us any money, but like it was fun. People walk by and pop bubbles and kids would hang out for a minute and play in the bubble machine. I just really, really enjoyed like getting to do that for the community.
The balloons were a lot of fun because as far as everybody told us, nowhere else had balloons. None of the vendors, like the craft vendors or anything. And then on Saturday,
balloons be expensive though, especially helium too. Like that all adds up.
There's a helium shortage.
Even still, yeah, Walmart, like, it's cost like $50 for like, and you get like,
50 balloons.
Yeah, 50 balloons, helium. So it's like expensive.
But on Saturday night, we took these little, they're like twinkle ball things. We had bought them for an event last year, Holodazzle, I think. And
it was too cold to use them. So.
Yeah, it was way too cold to use them.
Yeah.
So we put them in there, and that was like the big thing for me too, is like seeing these little kids come up when it's dark and ask for a light up balloon because they think it's so cool. And like at one point, a bunch of kids were like playing and hitting each other with balloons in the field across the street because we were by the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And they were asking us for just plain balloons, and it was a lot of fun. I think the balloons was a good touch.
Yeah, definitely. I think our booth was really cool. So I designed the booth. I really am proud of like the logo and like the branding of it all. I think it was fun. We actually had some couple come up to me at one point, younger couple, probably, I guess my age or younger probably. I guess they were from Wilmington, but moved to LA, but wanted to move back to Wilmington. Couldn't get the story out of him as far as why. But he came back later. And this whole time when we're selling these corn cakes, I'm like so nervous people are going to walk away and be like, this is trash, then throw it away. Like, that was my fear the entire time. I was like trying to keep a straight face, you know? So I gave it to these people from LA and I'm like, okay, they're going to think this is like terrible trash. And He walks back up to me and I'm like, here it comes. And he's gonna like lay into me like, this is garbage. But he was like, so, where can I find this at in Wilmington? I'm just like, what do you mean? He's like, do you guys have a store somewhere? And I'm like, no, this is like a one-time thing. He's like, really? You have a logo and everything. This is pretty good. And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. It was great.
I own a marketing company.
Yeah, I own a marketing company, so I'm good at logos, and that's about it.
It's the side fingers for me.
But that was cool for me. I don't know.
Yeah, and then like one of the guys who drove the golf carts was obsessed with the caramel corn cake.
Really?
He said he ate like 3 of them all weekend. And he was on Sunday. I had only worked part of the day on Sunday, and I was running stuff from our booth to my car and then taking my car and one of our workers to our office to just bring stuff back, trying to make it a little easier on everybody else. And this guy was driving me up in the golf cart, and he was like, wow, no, we never had the caramel corn cake here before. He's like, I remembered it. He's like, I need that recipe. And I was like, you'll have to talk to the guy behind the booth.
Yeah, we had some big fans, which was surprising. So the ladies at the quilting booth or quilting shelter, they loved it, and they told everyone who walked in there how much they loved it. So that was pretty cool. It's
really cool to see like a community that's very
because it's stuck in their ways.
I was gonna say stuck in their
That's a nice way to say it.
Yeah, so it can't be nice. I'm from Hillsborough, so
okay.
Like, Hillsborough's even more stuck in their ways than Wilmington.
Yikes.
But you know, like
okay,
people know the chicken and noodles. They know the apple dumplings. They know the homemade ice cream.
Yeah. You go to this for the tradition and nostalgia.
Yes.
Yeah.
But to see the community come and just like, even if they didn't buy anything, like people were staring at our sign or asking us questions. And I, several times, that looks good.
Yeah.
There was a lady who was like, is that the real size? Like,
oh, yeah.
And Dustin was like, yeah.
I loved saying that joke.
But overall, like, I think we really did hit those like 3 mission highlights, you know, the supporting local families and using local ingredients. And I think everybody had a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was cool too. We listened to some feedback. People were saying how like we're one of the only booths that have something corn related in it. I mean, it's the GD Corn Festival, and there's the Boy Scouts, and then there was us who had corn in their stuff. Not to say that anyone else's booth wasn't delicious, but like it's the Corn Festival, so it should have corn. And people did recognize that, which I was proud of, I guess.
Dustin's whole goal was, how much corn can I absolutely fit in this? Red caramel corn.
Yeah.
And at one point when we were making it, I even put creamed corn in the recipe, and Dustin was like, get that out of there.
Yeah, I don't want corn in my sweets. I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. Yeah, it was funny, like watching people walk by our booth and like they would lip the words caramel corn cake, like trying to understand what it is, but caramel corn cake. Like I just see them saying it. And early on in the process, I wanted to make like a jingle rap or something for like our cornbread. Emily's shaking her head because she knows where this is going. But the rap was going to be caramel corn cake, make your booty shake. I don't know what else of it, but that was like the jingle. So whenever I'd see people like lipping that, I just want to be like, make your booty shake. But they would have no idea what I was talking about. So I didn't say it. I kept it inside and just giggled.
Nobody Dustin at any given time.
I'm constantly just doing that.
One of the things that I thought was really funny, Dustin went on Thursday and set up the booth with some of our workers while I was making cakes. And he texted me and he was like, we have a dinky tent. And I said, excuse me. And he was like, everybody else we got these massive tents, these, you know, food trucks, booths. And we've got this 10 by 10 tent.
Yeah. Probably next year I would spend the money to get a booth set up because it's just a little extra work that I don't want to do. Is setting up and tearing down. At the end of the event, on Sunday evening, like you're just exhausted. You're like, I'm done with this. Like, so I could pay extra money to have someone tear the booth down. I think I would do that for sure.
Yeah. There's also just like a lot going on with the Corn Festival. Like, I'm sure it was pretty busy during setup and tear down, just people ready to get started and go home.
Yeah. So I think we're ready to transition into lessons learned. So we will probably do it next year. That's the plan. We will post a graphic on our social media and probably along with this post on our website. But some facts, we expected to sell 3,000 cakes. The reality is we sold 500. So our booth costs were $2,000, and that's how much it actually cost. Our corn cakes cost $3,600. And that was the reality as well. So that was all the ingredients. And our giving to the homeless shelter, we again helped 4 families. So that's $4,000 in emergency fund just right there, plus approximately $7,800 for a month's rent each, and then add on the hourly pay. So on Friday, when we did realize we weren't going to sell as many, I did make the call to like cut back the hours on people's working shifts. I guess we didn't need them in the kitchen anymore. So that was a little bit less money we gave to the homeless shelter, but still we thought we gave each family at least $1,800. So like, not 19,000, 1,800. So like, I didn't feel super bad about having to cut hours, per se. So far we have written a check to the homeless shelter for $3,000 for the emergency funds, because the families, as far as I know, are still there. So they don't need the rent money quite yet. And then the one gentleman who's out of the homeless shelter, we give him his full money there. So that is not from Real Change Wilmington. That's just a personal hit, I guess, but it's a donation. So like, is it really a loss? I don't really think so. So we expected to have $2,200 approximately left over from this event, which we could have invested in our newspaper and stuff like that. We ended up spending $10,300 after it's all said and done. So we made $2,500. And at the end, we were in the hole $10,300, which is
you live and you learn.
You live and you learn.
You base your numbers on the noodle numbers.
Yeah. So anyways, next year we know what we're going to do is we're going to prepare 600 cakes, which will definitely be less stressful. We'll be able to make them each day, which will help make them fresher, because corn cake does dry out really quickly. So if we can sell them when we make them, I think that's going to it's going to just taste better. We won't have any booth costs. Our corn cake costs will be $600, and our shelter giving, instead of helping 4 families, we'll just help 1. So it'll be a $2,000 giving, I guess there. We should have $400 left over, approximately. We all also are going to sell ice cream, so that will add to the numbers, but we haven't factored that into these things. So next year we will know what to do, but I am personally looking at it as like, hey, I'm proud that we tried to do this, and I'm proud that like we did this for the community. Like we got to like meet and highlight local farmers, get to help local families and meet them and get to know people in our community, like hang out with people at Sugar Tree Ministries that we would never hang out with otherwise. It was just like so good, like 10 grand, like whatever. Like it was so worth it, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, it really brought a huge sense of community. Mm-hmm. The Corn Festival brings out so much community in Wilmington. Yeah. It's like everybody loves it. Everybody likes to go and see stuff. And yeah, we didn't make our goal, but I mean, the corny version is we made a lot of friends along the way and met a lot of cool people. Barf, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, any other closing thoughts on the...
Buy extra gloves next year instead of having to borrow from the Boy Scouts.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, so that is the recap of the caramel corn cake, I guess. We will be back next year, expect that. So I'm your host and guest, Dustin Pearce.
And I'm also here, and I'm Emily Spencer.
You're just here?
Yeah.
Right on.
I'm here anyway, so don't think I can be considered a guest.
This has got more confusing. Keep it real, Wilmington.